got a lot of ants in here. Ooh. Some more power steering fluids. Okay, so we probably have a power steering leak. It's not mounted. It's just sitting there. I'll just let that sit for a few minutes. Well, here we are, a new project. This is a 1981 Z28 Camaro. Just purchased it. I have a set of wheels. The deal did not include the wheels that came with this car. And as you can hear, they're a little bit too tall and a little bit too wide. I really would have thought that they fit well, but they don't. Making turns and hitting bumps, we're gonna tear these things up, which is kind of unfortunate, but I don't have any other option. It's late, it's already getting dark, and I just want to get home. I had to sit there while they looked for the title for a little while. So I hadn't intended on driving it in the dark, especially because this thing doesn't have any turn signals that function. We got a lot of driveline vibrations. The brakes are sketchy. The seat that I'm sitting in is held in by one bolt, so I gotta kind of hold myself up. Can't take off very fast or very hard or the seat flies backwards. Let's get this thing home and maybe tomorrow I can show you guys around. Here it is. Got it home. We made it safe, but it was definitely one of the sketchier car rides. Here you can see inside. Car's interior's not terrible. I've certainly bought much worse. It's all there for the most part, but a lot of it is pretty rough. Rear seat looks great. I think it'll clean up pretty nice. Carpet, I think, will clean up pretty nice too. These seats here are not original, and they're literally just sitting in there. I had to drive that thing home with basically holding on to the steering wheel to keep myself from flying backwards, but it's really just sitting there. And the same thing with the passenger side. The guy, I guess, drove it like that, which is crazy. Luckily, the car did come with the factory seats, and they're in pretty good shape. They just need new tracks, or at least maybe the old tracks could be salvaged. But almost nothing works. It is a higher option car in the sense that it does have air conditioning, which is missing pieces. It does have power windows, which kind of work. It is a T-top car, which to some people makes it work more, and that's great because I'm planning on selling this thing when I'm done with it. I'm not a T-top guy. I prefer my roof to not leak. This is not the original engine. It is a 350, and I did run the VIN on this car. It was a factory 350 Z28. The body tag shows it is a Z28. Front shock's pretty bad. As we were going down the road, this thing was just hopping up and down. So it does have this V8M shifter. I get it, that's cool. I'm guilty of doing that on cars as well, but I really wish they would have kept the old shifter. It doesn't quite work right, which makes me think that it's either wore out or it's not hooked up right. Got a little bit of a rat's nest under here to have to sort through, so that's nice. For now, what I'll do is just kind of see if I can clean this thing out a little bit. An empty power steering. Some more power steering fluids. Okay, so we probably have a power steering leak. I think that's safe to say. We got these replacement glass filter inserts. Definitely not gonna ever use those on anything. I know it's been said a million times, but don't run glass fuel filters on your car. It's just a bad idea. Just to kind of point out what I'm talking about, that would be this style filter right here. They can leak, or that is glass and it will break. I'm not even sure why they still sell these. You'd think it would be a liability, but anyway. And when I do see them, they're normally just like this, where it's rubbing up against something metal and right on top of the intake manifold, basically right above the exhaust manifold, and it's just a fire waiting to happen. Not to mention the ignition system right behind it, which this is kind of something I haven't seen in a while, where you've bought the extra long, I guess, plug wires and just wrap them up, put a zip tie around them. I think we're definitely going to undo all this. Well, I guess let's dig in. Let's let's go ahead and start with the trunk.
We are gonna have to use the old screwdriver to open up the trunk, as there is no lock cylinder, so that's nice.
All right, looks like we got some water,
Which makes me think I might want to test the glycol content of the coolant, if they've been topping it off with water. Get this bubble wrap out of here. Oh, there's water. Awesome. More water jugs. Got some WD-40. Oh, and it's full. I'll put that on the shelf. Does it still work? Oh yeah, it does. So far, the trunk looks really solid. I'm pretty happy about that. Just dirty is all. Let's get this trash bag out of here. Ooh, that's gross. Yeah. See if we can get this out of here without spilling the water everywhere. There is signs of at one time there was probably a subwoofer back here based off of the big heavy gauge, or no, at least an amplifier of some sort. We'll go ahead and throw that on the shelf. Hey, myself a nice wire brush. Looks brand new too. All right, put that on the shelf. Let's see here. Looks like if it's gonna be rusty anywhere, it's gonna be underneath this box. Oh yeah, it's gonna break into a million pieces. Okay. All right, well that's not too bad. Not too much. Got some loose wires here. I'm guessing probably for the stereo system. We'll go ahead and get all this mat out of here. It's all gross. And I will go through and save all the change. See how much I actually paid for the car. You know, this is my first second gen. Here's the brake release. And hey, there's the trunk. Well, is that for the trunk? It is for the trunk. Sweet. Let's see if I can. Well, is it for the trunk though? Yes, it is. Awesome. I will see if I can have my locksmith make me a key for this. That'll be awesome. All right. Anyways, so this is my first second gen Camaro, and I'm learning a lot about them because I did not realize that they had this big. It's kind of hard to see on video, but there's a big hump right here in the trunk, and you know these. Oh, we got a lot of ants in here. Ooh, that's not great. Nice. Very nice. Anyways. So with this car, at least this model year, you don't have a whole lot of trunk space in this because of the big hump in the floor, which is due to the gas tank, I suppose. And that would mean this thing's got a gigantic gas tank. Hey, this thing's got air shocks on it. Got the little filler there. Okay then. I don't know if I'll keep those on there or not. I mean, they look like they're in pretty good shape, so. Oh, this has got a rear sway bar. Didn't know that. Learn something every day. Let me see what's in the glove. Oh, that's not working. Ooh, got some Calvin Klein. Does that smell good? Let me see what that smells like. Oh yeah, that's a keeper. Brake switch probably. Another brake switch. Wait, no? Yeah. Oh, okay, dope. Not sure why we have two. There's the little dude for the door here. Just random bolts and things. Okie dokie. Let's see what's on the other side. We got some hose clamps. We can keep those. Just random trash. Got more trash. 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 And some money. All right. That's pretty much it for the interior of the car. We're just gonna start with some quick things just to get this thing a little bit more drivable. Thing doesn't run great. Before I even left in it, I noticed a few things weren't quite right. So we have a pretty substantial vacuum leak, and I noticed as well the Vacuum Advance isn't hooked up at all on that distributor, so we'll get it hooked up. Oh, I just seen we've got another vacuum leak right there. Pretty substantial one as well. So it'll probably run a whole lot better. Get that done, and then we'll give it a quick tune. Alrighty, got my vacuum caps all on there, so we don't have any more vacuum leaks. It does run quite a bit better already. It wants to idle now. Before you had to kind of play with it to keep it idling. So I've got my timing light here. We're going to see. I do have the Vacuum Advance hooked up now, but I do have it on ported vacuum, so we'll just see what our base timing's at and go from there. Well, I'm not sure if my timing light is messed up or if this thing truly has 48 degrees of timing at idle. Kind of surprised it runs. On the way home yesterday, it was spark knocking a decent amount, and it was not running great. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up the distributor. We'll set this thing at something like 12 degrees base, and then we'll see what our total timing is. If we set it on 12, we'll see how much of a sweep we've got. So we got 15 degrees base timing, and then total timing is 36. I'll run it at that. We'll see how it does. I can already tell that it's much better than it was. Well, here we are 3 months later. Got the car started up. Haven't started it in 3 months. So car fired right up. Sounds great. I'm gonna go ahead and get the car brought into the shop. At least nose it in. I'll get the new, to me, wheels and tires put on here. That way I can actually turn the wheel more than 5 degrees and get it the rest of the way into the shop. If anybody's looking for a set of rally wheels with some lightly scratched up tires, they'll be for sale soon, probably. Okie dokie. Now, just let me go snag the new ones. Show you what I got. I got some slots. I think these are going to be a good fit for the car. They're very period correct. They're also usually pretty inexpensive these days. A lot of folks out there are running 16s, 17s, 18s, 22s on their muscle cars. And that means I can get these, in my opinion, far more desirable wheels for a lot less. So I will say I think a lot of these wheels are starting to have a comeback. I've noticed a lot more guys running these smaller 14-inch diameter, 15-inch diameter wheels. I love it. I'm glad guys are going back to them. I think these are far superior for ride quality and ease of mind. You know, you drive around places like where I'm from, there's potholes everywhere. And sometimes you can't swerve. And if you're running on this much sidewall, you better believe you're going to damage that wheel. So that's just my 2 cents, but to each their own, you know. If everybody liked these wheels, then I wouldn't probably be able to afford them. So thank you to all of you out there who dislike these, because more for me. Let's try and get these old washers out of here. If you've got two dissimilar metals, like here I've got these 2 washers are stuck welded onto this wheel, and if somebody would have just put a little bit of anti-seize on the back of these whenever they put them on, this probably wouldn't have happened. So put yourself a little bit of anti-seize on there. Sometimes these guys can be a real booger to get off of here. And I got new ones, so, you know, I'm not going to just leave them in there. That would be, you know, that would be dumb. No, it wouldn't be dumb, but it wouldn't be smart.
I've had to do this many times in the past. This is one way that I've found works decently well. You can do it two ways. I used to have access to a slide hammer that you could put a screw or a bolt or whatever into the end of it, screw it in, and then just use the slide hammer to pop it out. I don't have that slide hammer anymore, so what I can do with this is I got myself a nice little screw with no point, just a blunt end on the screw, and I've drilled a hole in this washer, just just a little bit smaller than the screw. And what I'll do is just slowly keep turning this screw until eventually that screw hits the wheel, and then it should start to push the washer off the wheel, just like that. And one other way that you can do it, if you're afraid that driving the screw down to the wheel is going to damage it, which I can show you here in a minute, that the wheel did not get damaged. But say you got one that's really, really stubborn and you're afraid you're going to damage your wheel, one other way you can do it is grab yourself a pair of vice grips, screw your screw down into the washer, grab onto it with the vice grips, and if you've got a slide hammer attachment for your vice grips, that's great. That'll work too. Now to show you guys, this was the first one I did using the screw, and as you can see, it's good. There's a tiny little dimple in the wheel right there, but once I clean the rust and stuff off this, it's going to be perfectly fine. Now, it don't hurt to put a little bit of anti-seize on the mating surface of your wheels. Through electrolysis, this will basically weld itself to your brake rotor. This will help protect your wheel, make it easier to get your wheels off in the future. Anti-seize is cheap, and it can really save yourself some time. I am not sponsored by Permatex. And then I tighten them by hand. Some folks like to use torque sticks. I don't have anything against torque sticks. I just don't have any. You know, sometimes they're a bit controversial. So sometimes when things are controversial, it's best to just stay away from them, but they have their place. Bring her down. Well, there we go. I think those look great. They cleaned up decently nice. I just kind of hit them with some cleaner, degreaser, and lightly went over them with some Scotch-Brite to kind of clean the corrosion off of them. And they haven't been polished or anything, but they look nice just like that. I might polish them. We'll see. You all know the rules. Before I put these new wheels and tires on here, we'll see what this old girl can do. Plus, we want to kind of tear up these tires a little bit. That way the next owner of these knows it came off of something cool. Open up the window. Hope no one calls the fire department. As soon as the smoke clears, we'll see if we had a 2-wheel peel or a 1-tire fire. It's gonna be a little bit though. Phew. Oh, yikes. Yep. I'll just let that sit for a few minutes. So it does. Kind of expected it to, but this is kind of the best way to verify that. Not really. There's better ways. But it's quick and it's easy. Also, not just the fact that it's got 2 marks on the ground, but you can see that it wanted to go to the left, which is why I let out of it. That way I didn't have to put a quarter panel on it too. One heck of a mess to have to clean up. I have got rubber all over the place here. Got it all the way over here too. Just piles of it. That thing runs so much better. It was a dog on the way home for sure. But it's quite a different car now. Moving on, we've got these wheels and tires I've got for the rear. As you can see, they're a little bit wider than what I had for the front. Not substantially, we're talking like 10 millimeters, but still, they're a little tiny bit wider. These ones aren't quite as new, these tires, but they still are in amazing shape. They're still very supple and very little wear on them. If I know the kind of person that's going to buy this car anyways, these are going to be bald in about 3 weeks, so who cares? Well, I just found something to add to the list. I was getting ready to put this driver's side rear tire on, and driving down the road, I noticed that going over bumps, you'd hear the tire rub, but you'd also hear kind of a clunking. I think I found it. So at some point, somebody has put some air shocks on this car, and this rear shock here, it's not mounted. It's just sitting there. That would do it. So as you can see, someone took the old shocks off and broke a bolt. And then, right here, oh geez, they broke 2. Oh, great. Okay, so, yeah, that one there's broken. That one there's broken. So I'm gonna have to fix that. That may be why it pulled to the left on that burnout. Now, as much as this sticker matches this car, and I'm not just talking about the color, it's gonna have to go. Added about $5 to the value of this car. That only took me about an hour to get that off, so $5 an hour, that's not bad. Well, folks, that's going to do it for this episode. Stay tuned for next time, where I'll be fixing most of the major problems with the car. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.